Good morning. What's up? Happy Wednesday to y'all. Hope everyone's doing good today. It's Wednesday. I see everybody been checking in so far. Everybody checking in, but nobody is checking in from Cartagena, Colombia. My man, just another fragrance reviewer in Cartagena. Don't be saying no Cartagena. Don't be saying Cartagena and get embarrassed out there. Just another fragrance reviewer. It's Cartagena, Colombia. Hope you guys are out there doing well. Money Beach checked in. Of course, Chris Bennett is checked in. Sandman checked in. Mark's checked in. Calvin is in the house. Steve Sarkisian spoke to the media yesterday. Benji is in the house. I know Stephanie's using that far behind. Steve Sarkisian, he spoke to the media yesterday, and he had a lot to discuss. And I want to kind of break it down for you, some of y'all. Some of the things should be, some of it won't be, good morning, Drew. Some of it won't be brand new stuff, because if you watch this show every day, and a lot of y'all do, some of these things I've honestly told you before, like weeks ago. That's why you rock with your And there's other things that are going to be new to you guys as well. So hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. If you have not done so, let me go ahead and tweet this thing out, and let's get this thing started. Christopher says, honestly think women and men basketball need some donation. Chris is coming in with random stuff. I like it, Chris. I like Chris. Chris is like, I just been thinking about this all night long, and I'm just going to say this random thought today. He like, I think women and men's basketball need some more money. Yes, Chris, they definitely do. They definitely do. And Calvin goes, do you think you'll be reporting by the time Baby Sark makes his commitment? 18 years from now? God, oh my God. You know, the thing is, Calvin, it's a great question. First of all, Sark and I are the same age, which is crazy. So Sark is 51, I'm 51. That would mean when baby Sark graduates from high school, Sark himself will be 18 years from now. So 69 years old. Woo, baby. Woo. Hey, Sark, don't judgment-free zone. I got a 6-year-old. I mean, he's about to turn 7. So it's a judgment-free zone. We both going to be the old guy at a kid's graduation. Sorry, it's a judgment-free zone. But I don't know. I might be doing something, because I don't see myself just sitting around retired and stuff. Like, I'm going to do something. You know what I'm probably going to do? We'll talk in a second. I'm going to answer the question. You know what I'm probably going to do? I'm probably just going to chill out. If I got any money, if I got any money for retirement, I'll probably do something like high school reporting or something. Just something cool, just low key, something like that. I might just do high school reporting for fun, and just cover those little games on a Friday, and that'll probably be about it. Or maybe some high school, but I'll probably do like high school sports at like a newspaper, a small little newspaper. So yeah, I'll probably be doing something to that effect. All right. Sark addresses the media yesterday. It was refreshing. It's the first time that Sark has actually talked to the media. When I see that my all right, we back. Be patient. Somebody offered to help. Somebody offered to help me out with my internet. I might be needing that. Spectrum is not going to get us down. Spectrum is not going to get us down today. We rebuke that Spectrum demon in the name of Jesus. Just throw some stuff on Spectrum. So the theme of the show is never scared. Not because it's just the Bone Crusher song, which I absolutely love, and the majority of us love too. And I know Court is out there with that Bone Crusher. He out there playing that Bone Crusher right now, right? Sitting out there on the patio, I'm sure enjoying himself. But that back, and we're having these small little internet issues this morning. Small little internet. Just It's gonna be one of them days, huh? It's gonna be one of them days. It's gonna be one of them days. But that's all right. That's all right. It's gonna do it. Maybe do one more time, and then I think we'll be all right. I always complain about Spectrum, and yet I don't ever. This has got to be. Um, Set a reminder at 1 o'clock to look into new internet providers. All right, we back. I'm just gonna wait for us to catch up. We're gonna wait for us to catch up. We're gonna wait for us to catch up. Mm, 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 mm. Y'all let me know if I'm back in real time or not before I start cussing. Because I really, really, really was in a really good mood today. Like kind of like my Friday moods. And that just kind of knocked it down a notch. Kind of like when you argue with your old lady kind of mood. Like the first part of the argument when it's about to start to go a little south. And you're like, huh? I'm at that point. I'm at the huh? But I'm still good. I can still go back. It's like, but then you give it clarification, like, okay, we good. All right, somebody be say we good. I'm gonna try one more time. We good, right? Okay, Sark, adjust the media. And he told all the media members, y'all internet is trash, and y'all really need to upgrade. AT&T, y'all, I promise y'all gonna hear from me. I don't, y'all, yeah, this is some BS. I can't live life like this. And thank you, Nate. I appreciate you like that. Like, I got to put the little thing on the side too. You know what I'm saying? Appreciate you. So, and the theme of the show is never scared. Because my biggest takeaway from when Sark talked was that it seemed like some of the things and concerns that we may have, and we may say to ourselves, like, how are they going to be in these particular areas? Sark just seemed to really just kind of not be phased by that. Like that's what it really, I noticed that he just wasn't phased by some of the areas of concern and really just seemed to be quite optimistic about the team. He started off by really talking about, and he's done this before, where he's kind of talked about last year's team not being this year's team. And we've heard this theme over the last couple of years. And that theme came out again yesterday when Sark was kind of talking about it, kind of in his opening statement. Now, he did go over telling us that, hey, they're doing a lot more teaching now in this offseason than in previous off seasons. We kind of set that up before where, hell, we don't have a spring game, right? So this spring is all about the teaching, laying down the foundation. They've got new players, which, tons of new players. The high school guys, like everybody from high school, pretty much. I say everybody, and I say pretty much. I could contradict myself, so I understand how stupid that may have sounded. Please forgive me. But just about everybody from high school who committed in the 2025 class, they're on campus right now. By the way, I know in 2025, you're not supposed to say stupid. That's a bad word. My kids told me that like a few years ago. I said something about, man, that is stupid. They're like, Dad, you can't say stupid. What? Like, no, stupid's a bad word. I'm like, okay. Y'all should have heard what we said back in the day. Could you imagine Eddie Murphy Raw nowadays? Could you imagine Eddie Murphy Raw, Eddie Murphy Delirious in 2025? Oh man, he'd be canceled so quick if he tried to do all that. So some of those words, what he said, like the Mr. T jokes, he couldn't say that today. My gosh. Anyway. Somebody's gonna go watch that today and enjoy themselves. He really started talking about how he's enjoying watching the team grow, watching the personality of the team come to life, starting to see a lot of the positives that are there, 7 days into spring practice, kind of almost through a halfway point. But he started really talking about how hard that the guys are working. And so, you start with that, right? You start with that. And so someone asked him about, the defensive tackles that they got through the transfer portal. And I'm gonna get distracted if I watch it, if I get in the chat. So let me stop. Y'all know what happens. So someone asked about the defensive tackles that they had in the portal and like how those guys are fit again. And he's kind of started giving you like a breakdown of those guys. And he seemed to be really complimentary of them. Now, granted, he's not going to really crap on them at this moment, but he said, he talked about Cole Brevard, talking about that's a guy that you can feel that his experience is out there. Talked about him being a stout guy on the inside. What was interesting, I thought, was that he mentioned Travis Shaw, and he said they're monitoring him and they don't want to overdo it because he's had a knee injury that has kind of lingered throughout his career. Look, I see you guys in my peripheral talking about all the cuss words that you can't say anymore. But anyway, so he started talking about Travis Shaw being a guy that he's had a knee thing throughout his career. So they're trying to really be careful with him in the spring. Kind of, that's kind of brand new information. I thought, I had to file that one away. And then Hero Canoe, talking about him being a good addition. He didn't expand on Hero at this moment, but I have heard good things about him. And then he talked about Alex January, which I've heard really good things about him. I heard good things about him starting out the beginning of the year. And then Melvin Hills, which I believe Melvin's the third, if I'm correct. I'm hoping he is. I don't believe he's the second. I believe. Let me just make sure. I want to make sure I get Mr. Hills' thing correct. Yes, he is the third. Melvin Hills the third. And talked about him being kind of a good addition to the team as well. And so you walked away feeling like, all right, Sark feels really good about that room. Now y'all know me. I'm going to ask him about receivers. Hey, Alex loves offensive linemen the way that Unc loves receivers. I love receivers, probably because, I can identify with a receiver. You know what I'm saying? I can look at a receiver and potentially see myself, even though I have never been that fast and my hands would never be that sure, nor would I ever want to get my head taken off like that. That being said, he started talking. I asked him about the receivers, and I said, hey, with the injuries to DeAndre Moore, Ryan Wingo, where are you at as far as those guys are concerned, especially the young guys? And then, of course, I did ask him, and I'll get to the follow-up question as well, but I did ask him about Jordan Washington, right? And so what Sark told me, he said, hey, with Dre and Ryan being out, it's created an awesome opportunity for some young players where they're running with the ones and the twos. Now, if you watch the show, last week, Unc did a show on Friday talking about Dalen McCutcheon, where I told you he was running with the ones and the twos. I did a whole show on that. Go back and watch it if you haven't had a chance to see it. Did a whole show about how Dalen has been doing that. And he talked about how he's got the young guys running with the ones and the twos. So he mentioned Jamie French, Khalid Lockett, Parker Livingstone, and of course he mentioned Dalen, which of course I want to say Dylon. Dylon, because he spits straight fire. But it's Dylon. But I'm going to call him Dylon and hope I can be right. So you mentioned Dylon as well. But then he said, but again, I'm not in a real rush. He said, I know who DeAndre Moore is. I know what he's made of. He has a good rapport with Arch from last season when he played. He goes, I know who Ryan Wingo is. And he said he was having a really good spring before the tweaking of the hammy, and he'll be back. So he said, I'm really not concerned about those two guys. And so that, again, that is these injuries have given them an opportunity to really, really not. I want you to take a mental note, though. I want you, as I'm talking, take a mental note. Hear everything I'm saying about defensive tackle. Hear everything I'm saying about wide receiver, and then hear everything I'm about to say as relates to the tight end position as well. I just want you to take mental notes because I'm going to wrap this whole thing in like a church sermon. You know how you start from the beginning and you wrap it all up? I'm going to wrap this whole thing up in a second. So, but not right now. I'm not going to wrap this up. I'm finally got the internet working. Like I'm not going to, I'm not going to wrap up the show no time soon. Man, Calvin about to walk off for wide receiver. Man, I probably got like 2 good plays left in me before it's a wrap. I got like 2 good plays, and then it's a wrap. Then it's done. Y'all see the thing? The other week when it was the guy from he was, I think it was at the Chicago Bulls. He was like a fan, and he was trying to play a competition. It was like a layup competition. And I'm gonna put this in the chat. I'm gonna put it in the chat because this will be better than me talking about it. Hold on, I bookmarked it. I'm gonna put this in the chat for y'all to watch while you guys are talking. Anyway, he was doing a layup competition against another dude. It's kind of like during the middle of the game, and one of those things where the knees just gave out at that time. But I'm gonna find this for y'all. I've bookmarked a lot of things that I go back. Oh, here it is. I got it. I got y'all covered. I'd rather show you better than I can tell you. Hold on. I'm gonna put this in here. All right, I put that in the chat for those who have not seen it. It's quite hilarious, by the way. Not hilarious for his ACL. So he seems to be really excited. Really good, feeling good about the wide receiver room and the guys that they have going there and the development that's happening at this moment, right? So you heard Sark talked about the wide receiver. So you said to yourself, okay, he feels good about the young guys that are playing receiver. He feels good about some of the defensive tackles at this moment. And I also asked him about Jordan Washington, right? So he did reveal that Jordan Washington has a collarbone injury. Okay, so that's important for us to know the specifics of the injury. If somebody reported it previously, then I apologize that I missed it. I obviously knew it was a shoulder injury, but he did mention it was a collarbone. And he said, look, a collarbone, bones heal when bones heal, right? That this kind of is what it is. So it was interesting. Sometimes in life is not what people say is what they don't say. And so it was interesting that he said that's created more of an opportunity for Amari Winston and Spencer Shannon to get more reps. What he did not say was that created more opportunities for a Will Randall to get more reps, right? That's not what you heard. And so again, it just kind of when you start thinking about, okay, what does this whole thing look like? And and again, just kind of guessing on what's going to happen portal-wise or things to that effect. I know Sark says he always gets in trouble because he mentions one person, he doesn't mention somebody else, and then somebody else takes it personal, right? But Will Randall's a guy that by now you would thought, okay, that you'd be hearing his name and hearing more from him. And then, but at the end of the day, you're hearing more about the Jordan Washingtons this season. And then he's mentioning Amari Winston and of course, Spencer Shannon. It's like, ooh, Nate watching, everybody watching that. I love you're watching this thing now. You're like, damn. Click on that link if you need to click on it. Oh boy, went down. So that was one of those like, that's interesting. And look, Ketch has mentioned this, and I can't disagree. At the end of the day, if everyone's talking about Jordan Washington, and it's not to say Jordan Washington is not a really good player, right? Or can't potentially be a really good player. But the fact that you're mentioning this guy over some guys who've been on campus a little bit longer, And then, they still got another guy who hasn't gotten to campus yet, but gotten to campus. I'm so country. Who hasn't arrived on campus yet. There's that's an alarm for everybody else in that room that pretty much says you got a couple of weeks to get this thing right or to get this thing going in a better direction. What you don't want to do is have Sark pop the balloon, right? On you. I don't need that. I don't need that. I don't need that. I would never go on that pop the balloon show. I would never let somebody clown me like that. Now I would be the one to hold the balloon. But I don't know. I could just let them clown me like that. I'm too sensitive. You also said a lot of good things about Arch Manning. And just I'll get into that real quick because I really want to get into it. And he basically said that Arch is bringing out the competitiveness in everybody on the team. Basically, talk about how he's a smack talker and likes to talk a lot of smack, and so that's kind of gotten guys more hype. So you talked about guys like an Anthony Hill or a Manny Muhammad or even a Michael Taft, guys who played a lot of football, and it's just like, all right, here we go, another practice. But then you got Arch chirping and letting you know like that's weak. You ain't got me. All of a sudden, all these other guys on defense are saying, wait. Hell no. Because Quinn was not a talker. Quinn was not a talker, right? As you got, we had conversations about this for years where the staff was always trying to get Quinn to talk more. And it just never happened. It just wasn't his personality, right? It just, certain people are like that. They're a little bit more introverted. And you can try to tell them more, talk more. And it's just hard because that's just not naturally what they do. Some people just speak for a purpose. Like my son is a goalkeeper, right? And the thing is that a goalkeeper is supposed to talk. If you like understand that, like the goalkeeper is supposed to kind of direct a lot of folk. And so one of the things that, the coaches have been working on him for the last couple of years is like, you got to talk more because you got to communicate. Like if someone's kicking the ball to you, the ball's up in the air, you got to say, that's my ball, right? You got to tell people to spread out. Like you got to tell people to attack, like all these things. He's getting better at it, but it's hard for him because naturally he's just not a very talkative person. It's kind of like his dad in many ways. And I know you may think to yourself, that's kind of weird because you do a show every single day. Clearly you're talking to him, but actually if you're around me, I'm actually pretty chill, laid back. I actually don't talk that much. So we're similar. Quinn's not like that. Quinn's he's like that. He's not a talker, but Arch is a little bit different. And so now Arch is bringing out what Sark is talking about. Arch is bringing out that dog and everybody else in practice because he's chirping. So they're chirping back. So that was a good thing. I thought that was a really cool note for that. I'll probably do something else more on him, a little bit. What was also interesting was he was asked about the offensive line. And he was asked about his concern level as relates to the offensive line. And he said that a couple of things. He said, well, one, the sign of a healthy program is when people move on, then the next group is ready. And now that is true. That part is true. Because, look, if you want to be the next Alabama, the next Georgia, right? Clemson, when they had it kind of cooking. Let's talk like the Alabamas and the Georgias, because I think we kind of, and I'm talking about the Nick Saban Alabama at this moment, not this current Alabama, but that every year they were losing folks to the draft. And every year they had to replace them. And so it wasn't like this death blow because this guy went in the first round or 3 guys went in the first round and they had 10 guys drafted or whatever it is, And so Sark is saying to like, hey, this is how it's got to be. Like a good program, you just got to lose people and you got to replace them. And Sark feels confident that they're at a plug and play right now. especially as relates to the offensive line. So when he started talking about the offensive line, he says, I think we all have an idea of who Trevor is. He goes, we got a pretty good glimpse of that, and not a finished product, but a pretty good glimpse of what he looks like. I think what he's saying there, if I kind of read between the lines here and I just kind of add a little bit of my own opinion to it, I think we all believe that Trevor Goosby is going to be a really good player for Texas, right? I think we all believe he can be a high draft pick if all goes well. But we also do know that we got to see how he holds up through a 12-game season, 13 games. We're talking about a conference championship game, then playoff games, 2 games after that, right? Does the body hold up? And I don't mean body like physically as it relates to injury. I'm just talking about the wear down, the wear and tear of doing that week in and week out, playing such a taxing position. But I think that's the only quote unquote unknown as relates to him. And then if he can do that and just make it, and just do what he did in those off the bench, kind of coming in those limited roles and then starting. And if he does that, I think you feel to yourself, okay, he's good. And again, you got a glimpse. And that's why I think Sark is saying, we got a glimpse of it. We're pretty good. We're pretty good. We feel like we know what it is. We feel not a finished product, but okay. Yeah, we feel good about that. So check the box. No, what he's not in a competition battle, right? So it is what it is. He did say he's getting the best version of DJ Campbell that they've had. And I thought it was interesting because he said something like 4 years into it, you think a guy is who he is. But he said, hey, there's growth for everybody. He says he thinks he's taking a really good step from a leadership standpoint, energy standpoint. Said this is the best condition that he's been in. That's high praise. That is high praise. So if you tell yourself, feel good about Trevor Goosby, feel good about DJ Campbell, right? Then it's about filling in the rest. He says, Cole Hudson, he has experience at center, so he feels like that's going to be helpful. And then he says he likes the competition at the tackles with Brandon Baker, Andre Kojo, Nick Brooks. He didn't really mention a lot of the other guys in the interior, but he did mention, he mentioned Nate Kibble a little bit. So he talked about them being a work in progress, but he goes, I think there's been steady consistency and growth in what they're looking for. Again, there's an argument to be made that, all right, do you really know what you got from the offensive line perspective? Like, are you 100% sure about that? But for him, back to the theme of never scared. Hey, we're going to be all right at offensive line. We're going to be all right at the defensive line. Definitely, we're going to be all right at receiver. We're going to be all right at tight end, right? Those are our biggest concerns, right? Because we're not concerned about the quarterback. We're really not concerned about anybody really on the edge. We're not concerned about the linebackers. We're definitely not concerned about the DBs. I mean, no one asked about the kicker. I was only able to get two questions in, and I could not do that on a kick. I just had to wait on that, right? So I couldn't do the kicker question, right? But you did that did pop up as well. I did a show, I think last week, about Christian Clark, and he had high praise for Christian Clark, along with just high praise about him. And he said that, he said anytime you have a significant injury like that and you miss an entire season, you're always kind of monitoring what they're going to look like. He said, I felt like in winter workouts, he said he was running away, and it was like, man, I don't know what his schedule looks like anymore. And he said as his practice has started, he looks like he's in tremendous shape. Again, I did a show last week about that. I reported on that. I mean, man, I just hope y'all rock with me, man. I try to produce some hits for y'all, man. I really do. And then he also talked about Trey Wisner being an energizer bunny for them. And he said Jarrett Gibson's had a good spring so far. And he also had some mentions of James Simons and Ricky Stewart. And then said CJ Baxter's coming back. So feels good about the running back room. I'll probably talk a little bit more about that tomorrow and kind of expand on that a little bit more. And we'll kind of double back on that sometime because I got shows on Thursday and Friday as well. But here was, as I tie it all back in. He feels good about what they have. However, and by the way, however is one of my favorite words. I do however, comma. If you read any of my columns, I put however in there all the time. I start on something and I'm like, however, that does not mean that when the transfer portal opens up on April 16th, that Texas is going to be silent and stay pat, stand still, do nothing. Because that's the thing that Sark also let us know. Now, he was asked, hey, when the portal opens, how active are you guys really going to be? You know, how are you going to approach it? He gave a really long answer, but I'm going to basically give you the most important part of the answer, okay? He says we really try to identify, the portal to where we think there's a need, but yet also is the person we're bringing in an upgrade to maybe what we have, or can it supplement what we have at certain positions? Now, naturally, there's a couple of positions depth-wise where we're not where we need to be right now. Uh-oh. So we'll look at the portal that way. Our numbers are down at receiver right now. From a scholarship standpoint, our numbers are down on the defensive line from where our numbers really should be. And our numbers are really down at tight end. Boom, boom, boom. Oh, wait, I don't think you do guns anymore. Ja Morant. My bad. I was just pointing. What up, Nate? You got a glimpse of it. It was interesting. He said later on, so it's not like you can just say, hey, we need a defensive tackle. Let's go get a really good one. If they're available, sure, we'll try to, but that doesn't mean that caliber of player will be available to us. And there it is. Never scared, not worried, not tripping, not fretting about anything. Why? Because one, he's got the talent on the roster, current talent, but two, they know when the portal opens, it's on and popping. And the thing I've told you guys, but I'll reemphasize because I know you don't watch every show. Good morning, Captain. I haven't seen you in a hot minute. It's been a hot minute. You must be working or something. But anyway, good to see you again. When the portal opens, though, now I've been told that Texas is going to go heavy in it. Like they're going to get some guys. I've been told, no way in hell. After all these years, the past couple of years of having success, especially getting receivers out of the portal, that they're just going to stay here and not go and get a receiver in the portal. No. It doesn't even add up. It doesn't make sense because why would a person who you've already had success doing these certain things, right? You've already had success bringing guys out the portal, like your Adonai Mitchells, right? Like you're able to do with Bolden last year, to a certain degree, Isaiah Bond. But you've been able to have success with these guys out of the portal. Why would you then decide like this is the year? You know what? You know what's worked for us? Get receivers out of the portal. So knowing what we're going to do this year, what? We ain't going to get no receivers out the portal. No, they're going to get receivers out the portal. And so it's good for the young folk. It's good for the young folk to get the reps. It's good for them to get that work. It's good for Dalen to get those reps. It's good for French. And it's good for Khalid Lockett and to a certain degree Michael Terry. Like it's good for all those guys to get it. But at the end of the day, the team that you're seeing right now, as we're having this conversation on April 9th and it's 9:35 in the morning, that team's going to look different once that transfer portal closes at the end of this month. And then the real conversation gets to really keep going. And at the end of the day, so when someone's asking me what's tampering nowadays, tampering is look, it is what it is. Okay, it is what it is. And all these guys have agents. Okay, so it's more about the agents. These agents reach out. These agents reach out to schools, and what they say is, "Hey, if such and such goes into the portal, would y'all be interested?" And those conversations are, they happen, and they're backdoor conversations and all these kind of things, and it just is what it is, man. Like it. Look, at the end of the day, doesn't matter. Don't matter. Kids are going to get paid, agents are going to get paid, schools are going to win. It is what it is, right? So there's no real thing as far as tampering is concerned. Like these people are, and look, at the end of the day, these schools all are waiting to see what happens. It's kind of like, it's kind of like that stupidness. I said it again. I know I'm not supposed to say that word. Hope my kids don't watch today. my kids are okay with listening to Kendrick curse, but they heard Daddy saying something like that. They were like, "Oh my God, Dad!" It's like drop the F-bomb or something. Can't say that word apparently. But Texas will attack the portal. Texas will go after receivers. They will go after defensive linemen, and they will go after um, tight ends and see what's available. Look, are people right now? I knew Micah Hudson was probably going to go in the transfer portal when he was at Tech last year, sometime in October. I want to say. I want to say it was like late October. I started hearing that, and it wasn't from anybody at Texas or anything like that. It wasn't anybody at Texas, but those things just happen. Kids start putting those things out there. The agents start putting things out there. Hell, the agents want some of us to go ahead and pump up some things to a certain degree. They don't want tampering to be quote unquote like as you guys are talking about in the chat, but they also they want to a little shy. They contact me for information. Just kind of is what it is. But I think the thing you need to know is that there is talent there. But that being said, when the April 16th happens, Texas is going to be active, and it could be more active now than they were in December, because in December, it's hard to be really active in the portal when you're in the playoff run. It's hard to do that. It's really hard. It's hard to do that. It's hard to be super active, and when all of a sudden you want to make sure guys don't leave, and you're worried about retention. And you're trying to make sure that guys stay. And you're also not on retention for next season, but hell, retention just in the playoffs. You don't want guys to just roll out. And so you got to be careful at that point. You want to keep kind of your core together. So you go a little bit in there. But then in April, it's like all bets are off at that point. All bets are off. Now at that point, if you get mad and leave, oh, okay, well, good luck to you. Good luck to you. Go find another home that you're going to be happy at, because at the end of the day, we've got our guys, and now if you leave, that's okay. I got time to replace you. Like you can go ahead and get upset. That's okay. I got time to replace you. So when you look at the scholarship numbers of where they're at now and where they're actually going to shrink and reduce, they're going to add in. Like Texas will be very active, and so that's why Sark ain't scared. That's why Sark ain't worried, because they've got talent on the roster, but they also know that when the portal opens, they're going to keep both eyes open, ears to the ground. And if someone could come in and be a good fit and be a somewhat dynamic, and they can find the Matthew Goldens of the world that ends up being some sort of game changer for them, and they can find some defensive tackles like the Bill Nortons of the world and the Loles that can just come in and be really productive for them, And if they could find, well, I mean, they got to do it better with finding some damn tight ends now. That tight end Porter, what Jaleel Billingsley, Amari Nyblack, they don't need to get no more tight ends from Alabama. That's how about that? No more tight ends for Alabama. Let's just let Alabama folk go somewhere else. I don't know if there haven't been too many that worked out. There hasn't been too many of that. Then there was what was this guy's name? Was it Ben Ballard or something like that? I think something like that. That Texas guy on the defensive line. He ended up having like 2.5 sacks to led the team. That was some bad years. No more. Ajay Hall. Like no more Alabama folk. Just if a kid goes to the transfer portal from Alabama and he's not that standout receiver, just hang up the phone. Just hang it up. We don't need no problems no more. But outside of that, though, it's looking good. It's looking good for Texas. It's very optimistic. I have more from what Sark had and what he said. I do got to clear the deck, though, because we got the recruiting show coming up at 10 o'clock. So I got to get out of here so those guys can get those things ready. I will be back tomorrow. I'll have more from some Sark. I got some more conversational topics for you. If you join me late, go back, watch it from the beginning. And from a main man court, enjoy Cartagena. Enjoy Cartagena, Colombia, man. Send us pictures. No, send me pictures. Don't send nobody else. Live each day like it was the last. A question my main man, just another fragrance reviewer who's joining us from Colombia. Just be safe out there, dog. Just be safe. Be safe. Keep your head on a swivel. Tip them security folk at wherever you're staying. So make sure don't wander too far away. Don't wander too far away. Keep your drinks next to you. I feel like I'm your ump. I'm looking out for you. Just be safe out there. Enjoy yourself. Remember, if it's too good to be true, it probably is. We don't want you to end up in the ice tub with stuff missing out of you. So be careful out there. Just another fragrance reviewer. We'll see you.